Let's go! Blake Baker's defense with another picturesque magisterial performance versus the South Carolina Gamecocks. We start off with the fumble. We actually get a little lucky on this fumble that they did not call a false start penalty. And, well, we're lucky because it was a fumble on their own accord. It was nothing that we did. And look at this. This is just nasty work. Even with the fumble, look at Jacoby and Guillory absolutely lifting this guard off the ground. And Patrick Payton, Johnny on the spot once again. So the LSU defense played with their foot on the gas, and it did end up hurting them. We'll break it down a little bit later, but we got to start off with this amazing Harold Perkins play versus a run. He just ejects himself, downhill and makes a really nice play. They call the perfect play here. We are running a corner blitz, okay? And anytime you're getting aggressive and you're getting super-duper exotic defensively, one of the worst things to happen to you is a screen to be run because you have a bunch of guys in different spots that they're not used to being in, okay? One thing about this is, yes, you're excited, Mansour Delane, that you are getting a chance to blitz, something you rarely get to do, okay? Ball's out. We got to be better about this, okay? They called us for one of these versus Ole Miss. I do think if Sellers actually went to the ground, they're probably throwing that flag. So they're running this screen. I want you to see how much wasted movement Jack has on this play, okay? He's getting stopped. There's all this pressure. We do need to work as a defensive end group falling to the ground. We do hit the ground way too much. It was a big problem in the Ole Miss game. But, okay, the screen is being run, and obviously you as a rusher, you want to get downhill and get pressure. But watch, boom, okay? He sees that the ball is out. Look, no wasted movement. Get off the block, and boom, he's already sprinting full speed downhill to chase this backside. And look at all this space that one has to operate. He's a really good running back. So Perk does a good job getting over the top of this, but you'll see he misses a tackle. But luckily enough, Jack was running this down from behind, and he finally does make the play. Okay, good stuff. We had a few other guys there as well. So we broke this play down in our film study on Thursday. I told you they were going to run it. I have no idea why they did not run this again, okay? I will tell you, Vanderbilt is going to run a lot of this. This is a huge piece of what they do. Little slips to the tight ends, easy throws, get Pavia on the edge, so be ready for it. Okay, another small weakness. I understand this was a really good defensive performance, but LSU does have a tackling problem, and it's starting to show. All right, comeback route right here. We could not tackle this versus Ole Miss really all that well at all. It's okay if you give this up. We can live with them playing comeback football. The downside of a comeback route, though, is oftentimes the corner is right behind you. Your back is turned. It's hard to get yak, but we give up yak here because Woodland was not close enough. And this is Jacobs, okay? This has been their hot hand, and once again, we did a good job mitigating the damage. Good hustle right here from Tamarcus Cooley. So we give up a long touchdown, and I actually am happy that this touchdown was given up because we've already won the game, and we will be able to hammer home the importance of doing your job and, well, mitigating the damage, okay? So the first thing is we have 5 more Power 4 games left to go. We have 4 versus really elite runners that are very good with zone read principles. 2 of them are elite runners in Reed and, of course, Green, and the other 2 are pretty daggum fast, and the quarterback who can't run like those guys is the best of them all, Ty Simpson, and that's a different set of skills, okay? So what LSU elected to do on these kind of zone read plays was say, look, we're not going to let LaNorris Sellers beat us with his legs. So on this, Jack Pyburn just goes straight to the quarterback. You're responsible for him. If he keeps it, guess what? He's getting brought down for a lot of yards. I actually like that. Now, what happens on this play is, well, you saw a minute ago, With 87, the tight end, when they split zone him, he was wide open in the flat for a gain of 12 yards, okay? I don't ever mind giving that up for a few reasons because quite a few times if you're split zoning the tight end, which is, basically the tight end is running right behind the line of scrimmage and leaking into the flats, when you do this, guess what? A lot of the times you're throwing this, and we threw a lot of these to Mason Taylor as well, this is not going for that big of a gain, right? Sometimes it goes for 4, sometimes it goes for 12 to 15. And what happens here is because they just hit one of these a minute ago, I think LSU overcorrected. So watch what actually happens. The tight end actually draws 3 different players. It's Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, and then you'll also see here the safety fly in to stop the tight end over here. Okay, so we have 3 guys running over to the tight end. Okay, and then it's off to the races. So why do 3 guys fly to the tight end right here? Well, one simple explanation could be that the coaches said, hey, on the final drive, let's not let that happen again. And we basically told all the players, hey, you're responsible for that guy. That's really the only explanation for it. But never should 3 guys go towards a tight end, even if it's prime Rob Gronkowski. So because that takes A.J. Halsey out this fit, we're in a lot of trouble, okay? Now, you still got to make this tackle if you're Mansour Delane, and you still got to make this tackle to Marcus Cooley if you're the safety. That's right, you're the safety valve, the last line of defense, and he pulls a Sage Ryan. Now, the good news is that he was excellent for the rest of the game, as you will see in an upcoming breakdown. Now, I want to break down this play from the end zone angle, and this was actually from our live show. By the way, we go live during games now, pregame, halftime, and postgame as well. So here's an end zone copy of this play. And so you see pre-snap, both our linebackers are in the same gap, okay? And look, they're guessing. So look at Whit Weeks' helmet stripe. It's already poked to the opposite side. And then Harold Perkins is over here as well. And the weird thing about that is you could see that the offensive line is actually zone blocking to the left. So it makes it a little bit more inexcusable. So I don't know if Perk or Weeks is supposed to be backside here, but you could see we're both blitzing or taking off here to the left when the run is going in the opposite direction. I don't know whose job that's supposed to be on the backside there. Then Whit Weeks is blitzing through this gap. And what did we say in the defensive film study? If you're a patron, Rick saw this. I'm not a big fan of slanting defensive linemen versus a zone blocking scheme. It's a good return right there from Xavion. Okay, and the reason why is zone blocking schemes, they're wanting to wash you to the outside. So when you do this, you kind of just lose your eyes, and they're just going to take you upfield, right? That's exactly what happens here. So Whit gets taken upfield. Someone's got to just be sitting right there. So you can go to our Patreon page. We had a bunch of run fitting issues. It's a bonus film study and one major concern. It's linked down below. God bless you. This Tiger Stadium crowd was so loud in this first half. I know everyone wrote essays about everybody leaving before the third quarter. Butler just destroys this left tackle. But look at how late he is getting out of his stance, okay? You're always going to have an advantage at home, right? So he destroys him. We also get, and this left tackle also had a few false starts, so he's really going to be still in this spot. And then you have Patrick Payton beating his man to the inside. We don't want to do too many inside rushes versus mobile right-hand quarterbacks, but he knows he has a spy right behind him. And where this play ends up being made is actually right here by number 88, Gooden. Okay, Gooden's an aggressive DT, likes to penetrate. There's no need to penetrate, right? There's so much pressure here that we need you to become a secondary player. So luckily enough, he gets blocked right here and decides to not go through this A gap. So he actually loses ground, but you see that actually helps the angle to get to Sellers here. Okay? See how that works out? So Sellers, it did look like that on a wider angle that they gave during the game, that there was a chance for him to throw a deep ball to Harbor. It would have been tight coverage. Instead, he decides to keep it, and Whit Weeks is right there as a safety valve. What Blake said was, look, with Sellers, it's smart to blitz faster players because it's so much harder for him to outrun them, okay? So this protection is already in a lot of trouble. Whit Weeks is getting a ton of penetration, and then you had a third-level blitzer in Halsey come all the way from that far out. And guess what? We got Harold Perkins right here, so you can't make this throw. The problem is the guard finally gets a piece of Halsey, and now Sellers is off to the races, okay? We have Wes Weeks right there, so Sellers is able to throw this football into the flat. I'm a little shocked that Perk looked this way instead of turning to look this way if this is your guy. I'm surprised by that, but I also understand it because you're afraid Sellers is going to be taken off there. But still, a good call, just better off. All right, so this ends up being one of the more interesting Blake Baker calls that I ended up liking a whole heck of a lot. So what we do is we call our typical defensive formation when it's third and Crot Springs, right? We take a defensive tackle off the field and we bring in Deshaun Spears, who now becomes a linebacker. And what we like to do here is overload one side of the football. And what an overload can do is it can guarantee you one-on-ones versus blockers if there's no tight end attached. The tight end here is at fullback. So we need someone here to win their one-on-ones, okay? And nobody really is able to do it, okay? So we do have one little twist here. It gets picked up. So these three guys, this is Jack and Pat, they get blocked. The backside one-on-one here from Gooden isn't that great, but also we don't want him rushing too aggressively either, okay? Part of that is because Sellers can just flat out run. Where we want to be aggressive is Harold Perkins going up against a tight end, and he just gets stalemated. I mean, not really much of a rush move, not really much of a rush plan. He kind of just goes into the guy and doesn't do anything at all. Then we get to Whit here at the bottom. He gets chipped to help out the left tackle who's struggling. I like this. Put Whit on the left tackle who just can't block a soul. He ends up getting a chip. And basically after this chip, if I was Whit, I'm spinning backwards, okay? Once you start feeling yourself riding past the quarterback, it's close. This pressure did force Sellers to step up. We want to spin backwards, but give the left tackle a lot of credit. And look, nobody's getting off blocks. They kicked our butts. The pass protection kicked our butt. The good news is that our coverage defenders are so damn good. Okay, these route concepts are very terrible. That obviously helps out. I really don't know what he's doing. He just stops, okay? And I really don't know what that is. Normally, most offenses here are running some kind of over bender, in particular versus man, but Woodland has him, blanketed. We have this blanketed because Monsoor Delane's a beast. And DJ Pickett, along with Tamarcus Cooley, takes care of this. Boom. Okay? Obviously, if Cooley keeps his feet here, he is running for a lot of yards afterwards. But we take the INT all day, every day. Dear Lord, Jack Pyburn had a big game. Okay? God, this just, you can't really play defensive end from a run-stuffing perspective a lot better than this. So the puller is coming around here, 52. His job is to kick out Jack. That's just never going to work versus him. Okay? Boom. Okay? Notice how much more physical he is. So if Sellers decides to bounce it, he's running right into Pyburn. Okay? Then, because he was so physical, it shrinks this gap. Okay? Let's go across the way. Walter Mathis is a true freshman. He's starting to play more and more and more. Look at him. He's not a big guy, right? He's under 300. Take on the guard and tackle and sit on that double. That is I cannot tell you how hard that is to do. It's so unfreaking believably hard. Okay, notice how everything it's just squeezed in so tight, and basically Sellers just runs into our arms. You can't play team defense better than that. The only problem is that Sellers is a freak of nature, and he pushes his pile forward. But overall, the fit was good, okay? It's just, that dude's just insane. He's insane. QB draw on 1st and 10. We're trying to rush upfield to get some pressure, and they don't mind letting us do that, okay? So now we're in a lot of trouble, all right? Whit's on a blitz, okay? Loses his eyes, just kind of goes into the guy, and now we're in a lot of trouble, all right? Last year, this was Sage Ryan, and he blew this tackle, okay? This time, it's made, okay? It was kind of whiffed, though, if we're being honest, but Wes was right there trailing it from behind. Okay, we get to this 3rd and 5. Damian Shanklin gets himself a snap, okay? We bring him in at DT to see what we can get done, okay? And, well, I really don't know what this call was. We're bringing Harold here, and then we're wrapping Whit around, okay? But we have Damian Shanklin twisting in, and now Patrick becomes the new contained defender. There's no one out here in this space, okay? It's just a flaw into this unless there was some kind of bust, unless Patrick was supposed to back out here, which I doubt. So that's a tough ask for Shanklin to keep the contain, as he's the twister. So he's always going to be sealed in that spot. It's tough. It's really, really, really tough. I don't know, but, it's the end of the half, and, yeah, I was pretty shocked that we gave this up. But this is amazing hustle right here. Boom. He knocks that out. His foot was out of bounds, and the ball also did squirt out of bounds. But, Okay, then we get to here. And this ends up being a ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous play, once again by Jack Pyburn, who had one whale of a game. Okay? This was really good as well by Jacoby and Guillory. You can't really just take off here because he's collapsing this pocket. Now, I was a little shocked. Oh, man. I think a few of these are there. Okay? Could he get that up and down? I know there's a safety right there. I don't know why he's not throwing this right here at all. I mean, this is caught, broken tackle. You have a timeout left, and he just runs into a sack. Jack just had himself one whale of a game. Really, really, really good stuff. Okay, 3rd and 7 after the Garrett Nussmeier putrid INT that kept South Carolina in this game. They run an interesting rollout here, okay? So I don't know whose man the tight end is right here. I really don't know at all. But basically on the backside of this vertical here, we had one safety for this guy, one safety for this tight end, okay? Luckily, Halsey and Cooley are good tacklers, because if for some reason Harbor's getting through, there's nobody in the SEC that's catching him. Good play by them. Good tackle to prevent a bigger play. Weird defensive rep here. Weird. Okay? So we do a lot of split field at the snap, and then one guy flies in, and it becomes middle of the field closed. Okay? And what happens here is Cooley becomes the new middle of the field closed player, and then you have Halsey running into the box here, okay? Now, this is what's strange about it. The tight end, 87, is just running a very simple stop Our linebacker alignment here is really tight. So we had these two guys here, and then Perk also basically goes to the inside as well. And now we essentially have three guys on this one player, and then you'll see Halsey basically run right here, okay? Now, I have no idea what this call is. I really, really, really don't. But what I could tell you is we never want this to happen, okay? Then we get to the rush. The rush gets a little weird here, okay? So Pyburn's cutting to the inside, and yeah, I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. We have a lot of rushers in the same lane. And then it's just simple pitch and catch right here with Harbor. This is very sloppy defensively on the back end. Very, very, very sloppy. Okay? Once again, you make the touchdown saver. That's smart by Delane to try and come bat that loose once he was already wrapped up. Okay, so earlier on this drive, Harold Perkins had a nice rundown, ran Sellers out of bounds, talked some good-ish. I love to see that. We get really good pressure right here from Pat Payton, okay? Just throws the offensive tackle off of him. Then he has to beat a running back who's leaking into the flats. And now Payton's gone. I don't know what the hell 51's doing. I mean, this was a bizarre-ass game. Was this supposed to be a screen for him? Was he eligible? I mean, that's what this looks like. I'm dead serious. I would love to know if he declared. I don't think you could be eligible here in the spot with him being on the end man. But it looks like one of these Travis Kelce kind of screens where you block and then you turn and you're waiting for the football. Is that what I have to go? I don't know if there's a way for me to read the. That's the only way that explains that right there. But anyway, we get Patrick Payton, who's generating a ton of pressure here. All right. Now, look at what happens. We have Sellers stepping right up into two of our backers. I don't know what Whit Weeks is doing right here. Okay. Harold Perkins is right here. You're already leveraged here to the outside. He starts guessing that Sellers is going to run this way. And Perk is already right here flying in to make this tackle. And he can't make it. Okay? We got to have that. All right? It's. Ugh. All right. So Whit's to the outside. Is that a block in the back? Doesn't look like much. And, well, Sellers runs out of bounds here. All righty. So I was live when this play actually happened, and I would not have called something aggressive here. There's quite a few reasons as to why, but it works, right? And it works in particular versus Sellers because he is really bad at taking some ginormously terrible sacks. And this is up there. He's taken some really, really, really bad ones. This is one of the worst ones because there were guys open, and they actually do pick this blitz up well. Okay, they were ready for it. Okay, and part of why I would have been a little bit more conservative is, I understand sacking him, forces a punt and it works out, but a field goal is also, pretty big. They've already missed a kick in this spot. So I understand being aggressive, getting a sack and knocking them out of field goal range and knocking them out of go for it range. But I would have been a little bit more conservative and forced them to kick along field goal because there were open guys there. But Whit eventually does make the sack, and the play call was brilliant, right? It worked. And I got to be honest. God, what is LaNorris Sellers thinking? Okay, it would be one thing if this is Isaiah Horton or one of your better receivers. Now, this guy, Jacobs, has back-to-back 100-yard games. Just switched to a single-digit number after a guy quit the team, and he took it, okay? I'm just never, ever, ever deciding the game versus Montz or Delane. I'm just not doing that, okay? I'm working some other matchup. But Sellers decides to do that, and you're just not. It's just not working. It's just never, ever, ever going to work. It looked like it was straight straps across the way anyway, and it's just an all-time. You're watching a superstar, to say the least. I don't know how many defensive players in college football are better than this guy. 8 for Ohio State's really good. He's a superstar in the making. 2 for Ohio State's really good. And they got a lot of guys out there. But in the SEC, R. Mason Thomas is definitely up there of Oklahoma. Dylan Stewart was phenomenal versus us tonight. He's up there. Is there a little bit of a tug? Sure. Okay. But look at this. Okay. Even though there is a tug, notice no one from South Carolina is asking for PI except this guy. Okay. If it was the most egregious thing in the world, they would have been going nuts. So how good is this LSU defense? They are ridiculously good. Okay. I just can't state enough good things. You know, whenever you're doing a film study, you're pointing out this thing's happening, that thing's happening. Man, this group is really good. We only have given up 5 yards per play plus once, and that was against Ole Miss, a 5.7 number on 84 plays, which is ridiculously good. And we have 3 P4 games now under that 5 yard per play mark, which is freaking ridiculous. It's really good stuff. Like, it's really, really, really good stuff. I also think we were on the wrong end of a call here. If I'm not mistaken, your forward progress stops right here. Okay? So he's going backwards. So it depends on where they actually mark him. I guess they considered him still going parallel, but he is getting knocked backwards. It just depends on where it's spotted. He did go out of bounds, but sometimes they'll keep the clock moving there. Then we get to another bad Sellers sack. Yeah, some of this was Sellers just crumbling, and this offensive line of theirs crumbling. You know, one thing that's not pictured in this game is all the false start penalties, and then when you have early false start penalties and fumbles, it makes your offensive line that much shakier. All of that went into it, and you're not going to have those advantages when you go on the road, right? Which is what LSU will do when they play Vanderbilt. And you can also make a case when it comes to this LSU defense. They have the better offenses on their schedule backloaded, right? You still got to play Mateer. You still got to play Simpson. You still got to play these good offenses. And a lot of those offenses, you have to go to their place, okay? Now, this is once again ridiculously good stuff right here by DJ Pickett. Sellers just didn't see him. He wouldn't have spun out into a corner blitz. That's why corner blitzes are so good. You know, one thing that I am very concerned about, and I go deeper in our Patreon deep dive. It's also available for our YouTube members. And by the way, if you're watching this right now, if you don't mind, please drop a donation. If you don't want to join the membership, that's fine as well. The offense has got to start stepping up. Okay? Like, defense is always going to be a reactionary thing. You still need to go out there and put up points. Us being the only team in the SEC to not put up 24 points in a game versus an actual Power 4 opponent is inexcusable up to this point. Okay? It's so bad. Our offense, and it's starting to wear off on our defense, okay? This is not, and I'll save it for the Patreon because it is complex, but we played 75 defensive snaps overall in this game, depending on how, different, that's how PFF counted it. There's different numbers for different things. I can get into how that actually happens, but the truth is, our defense is going to wear down at some point. The offense has got to help this defense out. They just do, okay? If they don't, we are in If they don't, we are in a lot of trouble. We do have them shook. Dude, as much as we want to make fun of Garrett Nussmeier, this is worse than anything Garrett did. I'm serious. It is 4th and 14. Why are you checking this down on 4th and 14? That makes no sense. Just a little casual little flip. Okay, and then after the flip, you're not running. Run. It's going to take laterals. And then Faison right here, if you know you're not, it's the end of the game. You're down by 2 possessions. Okay, he stiff arms and then stares at Whit and runs out of bounds. And look at this. I missed this during the actual game. Whit's like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Okay. Oh my God. That is so funny. Comment below your thoughts. We will drop the offensive film study Monday night at 6. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Tonight we are doing some lo mein.